David Andreas. Ralph, David Andreas. Ralph, David Andreas. Ralph, David Andreas. Rota, rota. Rota, rota. Flamenco, flamenco. 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 Ralph, David Andreas. 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 Ralph.
Welcome, everybody. This will be the fourth installment of the current series with David Ewing Jr. Welcome, David, and thank you, Nachiketa, once again for co-hosting this with us. Of course, David, we're very excited. Maybe we can conclude this series today. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, welcome, David. Thank you for joining
I hope
us.
so. Yes, as you pointed out, yes, we did 6-7 hours in the previous videos, and some people, obviously are being childish, saying, "Hey, David, stopping discussion." No, I'm not. I'm thinking, hey, of my time because I'm actually very busy. Even I was right now. I had to attend a charity function, but I've delayed it actually right now just for this interview. So that's why, if Andrea says something or if you are Nachiketa and I cut you out, it's because I'm trying to move on and I don't want to change subjects, don't want to explain something people can research in their own time. This is the truth. I'm just trying to save time to show the evidence first from all sides of history. And then if we have time, we can discuss it, or people can spend all the time they want investigating and discussing these things later on. First, we need the information out there. That's how people do it in universities. Yes, you get the information out, then you have the classroom discussion. And then after that, you go through the problems. If educated people will know this, of course, uneducated people will leave negative comments. So far, what we've discussed is, if people look at the European cities, yes, or in the Asian cities, we've got very good descriptions of them, drawings of them, maps of them, even many photographs from the late 19th century. People lived in small city walls, a few hundred people. So that means, where did the majority of the people live? The majority of the world lived outside the city walls. They were naked people. They had no clothes, no shoes, no languages. They were basically cannibals. They didn't have Christianity or Islam. So when people today are fighting and saying, hey, I'm a Serbian, I'm a Croat, I'm English, I'm Irish, or this is my history, this is our language, this is the meanings. No, they're not. Yes, it's only when after the fall of Constantinople and the fall of the Vatican's power. Yes, this is when it took a few centuries and then increased all the way up till the 19th century. This is when the Freemasons got involved and the Jesuits started to invent languages and give people dictionaries. Like, for example, we have the Bustani family, very suspicious, from the Middle East. Yes, who worked with the Jesuits and the Freemasons. And today their businesses are worth $1 billion, $1 billion. I mean, to the listeners who are listening in, some of them are Christian, some of them are Muslim and Jewish. Yes, they're famous, well known for writing the Bustani dictionary, which gave meanings to Aramaic or Arabic or Hebrew words in the 19th century. And today, we've got these evangelists and Quranists who are trying to tell the normal people of the world, this is from God. This is what God is telling us. This is the meaning. Oh yeah, the Bustani family and their allies, in the Vatican are laughing. I mean, just the Bustani family has got $1 billion business. Go and check it out, guys. Their language schools and their dictionary meanings. Oh no, but you've got these evangelists who are going to insist. Yes, and then people are going to insist, no, these coins, these are our coins. No, they weren't. They were the coins of the city people who were inside the cities, the elite. And you don't even know who was living inside these cities, inside the walls. That's another thing. You don't know if they were black, green, or blue. Yes, so, and those ruling elites were known as the children of Israel, or the children of Adam, or the children of Noah. Yes, and so Jesus, Moses did the first revolt. Jesus did halfway to a revolution, saying, "Hey, we can't leave the rest of the world like this. That we can't just leave them as pests or beasts or animals." And he started to teach people science and language. And then along came this man called Muhammad, and Professor Fomenko showed he was in Northern Europe. Yes, in Russia and Eastern Europe and in the north, and that's why we find all these Arabic coins there. And his revolution overturned the old world order, that Moses didn't manage to destroy the elite. After that, there was fightings and invasions going on. We'll go through a bit more of this. The alleged Mongol invasion was the invasion of Europe. Yes, from the east, fighting some of these cities, but that was led by Jesus Christ himself, or Joshua. And that's why people say Yeshua is Jesus Christ. It was the same person. Yes. And so the people outside the cities were naked, eating clay, eating each other. Yes. And so the technology has always been here, mobile telephones, things like this. And it was with these royals, or the people behind the cities. And the royal fashion, how they lived behind the cities, they had clothes, they wore robes. That's why the Muslims are wearing the robes that you see, and they used to cover their hair. And that this fashion spread throughout Europe. Yes, and the same walled or star-fort cities are worldwide, from China, Japan, India, Pakistan, Europe, the Americas. You look around, some of them were industrial complexes. The smaller ones were watch posts, another thing for trades between the royals. Yes, and they didn't mix with the peasants. They only married each other normally. And they kidnapped little boys outside the village walls, trained them to write their histories, some of them known as monks. Some of these monks wrote mistakes. They wrote for what each of the city, few hundred, there's only a few hundred people in the cities. That's it. They trained some of these children as security men or soldiers, known as Philistines, or the elite guard in the Ottoman Empire, or the Palatine Guard throughout the European cities. And they were same like eunuchs, castrated so that they can't have children. Population control in the city walls. When they were old, just throw them out. You know what I mean? Leave them to die. Yes, and if there was any rebels or anything, or if there was any peasants who got a bit smart, learned how to speak, they didn't teach these people languages because they didn't want you to speak. They wanted you dumb. Yes, so even the few peasants that they brought in as slaves, yes, if any of them rebelled, they executed them. That's why we see before the 19th century, 18th century, when they used to just, put them on poles, not crosses. It's difficult to put the two planks of wood. Yeah, the naked pests or the beasts used to come, drink that blood, and they ate them. Cannibalism. Yes. And another thing we're going to go through today is many people have made many strange videos talking about church bells. Oh, they're trying to show there was this great Christian civilization in Europe. Oh, we'll go through the truth about the bells. Yes, it was how to control the peasants or the pests or the beasts. Yeah, and things like this. And now many people think it's something else. But when we look at the city plans, it's not hard to examine them. We'll go through some of these city plans today. Yes, and we've got drawings from the 17th, 18th century, very accurate, that we could still find many of these streets and city walls today. Yes, that we can see where the people lived and how the cities functioned. Yeah, but people are giving imaginary stories. Things like, oh, these churches were like healing centers. No, they weren't. And there's many liars who are trying to get popular, saying the church bells and all this crap were things like to do with healing and other stuff. They've made so many videos and so many other things and wrote about them, but they're lying. They're just trying to become popular or get likes for their posts or trying to make money on their PayPals or whatever. Yes. So in the cities, they had industrial zones like we've got them today. We could see the layouts in the cities. They had the water zone and the sewage zones. And churches were industrial buildings. Many were modified and enlarged. Only 100 years ago, we've got the photographs of the enlargements. Cologne Cathedral wasn't even there before the 1850s. But no, people are going to say, whoa, check at this, check that, and everything. And they had free energy inside this Cologne Cathedral and the church bells. It wasn't even there. They only finished building it 100 years ago. Yes, many were water processing centers, underground water storages, and they've created fake baptistry history and everything. And then we've got the fake history they've invented of Vestal virgins and nuns. Basically, there were, peasant girls or girls from the beast that they found. They kidnapped them as children, brought them in, just in case the elite needed sex and things like this. So the same elites rule the world today. Yes, and there's several million of them worldwide. And so the depopulation is they don't need the extras. Yeah, and the thing is, people don't realize that that's how they treated the pests or the beasts in the past. The moment you realize it, then you will understand how they're going to treat people in the future. Yes, so these families are known as the children of Israel, children of Adam, etc. But Muhammad did the greatest revolution, and the world changed. And Flamenco calls it royal Christianity. Before then, some people call it royal Judaism, but Judah was the grandchild of Abraham. So now, before Judah existed, it wasn't called royal Christianity or royal Judaism. It was just called Shalom or Islam, and Islam with the E like Esau or Jesus, or the Musalam or Muslims like the Musa. Yes, but then so we can see that Islam. Or this Muhammad in Northern Europe did something so big. We are finding millions of coins throughout Europe. And Northern Europe, suddenly the pests or the beasts had clothing on, and they've got this Islamic style fashion clothing on in Northern Europe. And then it spread only in the late 19th century and in the early 20th century throughout the rest of the world. Yes. And we'll go through some migrants today and the problems with migration. It's like they're saying, oh, America take over Gaza. Oh, yeah, and throw the people out. Oh, they're saying they're going to send them to Egypt, which is a shithole or whatever, which is a lie. They know they're going to end up in Europe. If we're going to take over their country, they're going to take over ours. Whoever is doing this deliberately, and the best way for depopulation is to bring Armageddon, Islam versus the West. Yes, if we're going to steal their land, yeah, America take it over or throw them out, then they're going to throw us out. And this is in the Quran too. By the way, I'm not against migrants. If somebody's going to say I'm racist, I've always said for trade, let's do the migrants, the legal migrants, and for trade benefits, and of course some refugees. But this is ridiculous. Do you know what? I spoke to Syrians. Speak to them, the Syrians and Iraqis in your cities in Europe and America. They'll tell you when the Americans came or did the bombing, the Red Cross and Oxfam had the coaches ready to transport them. Yes, to bring them to Europe or America, or from Somalia, yeah, or from Afghanistan. They've already brought millions. It's all. I didn't want to bring this up. It's almost clear that basically this is an invasion. Now they're going to do this to Gaza. Next, they're going to empty, the West Bank, all the Palestinians. Next, they're going to declare war with the Saudis, Saudi Arabia. That's why they created the fake history. The Saudis, 19 of them, September the 11th. That's it. And then, they'll use an excuse, Israel, this and that, fake history, saying, oh, the Israelis thousands of years ago lived in Saudi Arabia. And then we're going to have hundreds of millions. Oh, blow up Iran. Yeah, just blow it up and let 100 million more migrants come this way. Come on. They're going to come to our cities. They are blowing up their houses on purpose. Now, we got a choice to either to support these migrants, stay home, by stopping the wars, by joining their sides, or they are going to send them here. Go and ask the Syrians and Afghans and the Iraqis. The Red Cross and the Oxfam were already there. And they said, oh, ISIS is coming. They're going to rape your daughters. Oh, the Americans are coming. They're going to rape your daughters. Oh, the French are bombing from the skies. It was German weapons who did it. It was Italian weapons, this and that. So now the thing is, in the Quran, it says, hey, throw them out from where they throw you out from. So now we're throwing them out of their houses. What's going to happen? It's going to be an Armageddon in our side of the world. Now, we don't want that before it's too late. Yeah, this is not about supporting Christianity or Islam. It's about support the Palestinians to stay home. You see, you can write to your local politicians, you can email them, you can do everything. This is like the final moment. So within 100 years, Europe, let's just say goodbye. There is no Europe left. No Europe left. You might as well say goodbye. Now let's move on to picture number one. Let's look at the reality. Yes,
Yes.
the reality
Not
is...
to divert, David, but just to mention what you wanted me to bring up very briefly. You wanted to talk about Islamists, evangelists, and potentially just correcting
yes,
the record.
I'm going to present the evidence. Islamists, evangelists,
And
Quranists,
of the
fundamentalists.
postcard photos from the last presentation.
Oh,
just
yeah,
to
yeah.
briefly
No,
mention
I'm going to show the evidence because
right.
you know, I wonder why in England so many Islamists and Quranists get arrested. Not because the government is against them, but because the public are complaining against them, who are non-Muslims, who are saying they keep preaching and they're getting a bit aggressive. Yes, these evangelists and fundamentalists. Well, anyway, now the thing is, they're trying to create a war between Morocco and Algeria. We'll go through that in a minute. Now, there's a billion people in Africa, maybe more. We don't even know how many. And there's hundreds of thousands of men ready, waiting to cross the border through Morocco and Algeria into France, into Spain, into Portugal, to Italy, to Germany and England. And it's men normally. And we don't know who they are. And many of them have been involved in wars and battlefields that involve a lot of cannibalism. We have no idea who these people are. And this has got to do with the Agenda 2030 for smart cities, so that then people will be forced to take digital ID and digital identification for smart cities, because they'll say you have to prove that you are a resident of this country. So now from Morocco, I mean, there's millions waiting. Go to the next picture. Yeah, unfortunately, they're poor over there. Now, I say we help them. There's millions of them waiting. Morocco and Algeria. This is very important. It's to do with Gaza. If we cannot keep these people, stop them from coming here, the Gazans, then do you know what? The rest are coming. Yes. Next picture. I'll show an example with what's going on. The Gaza war. Yeah. So this is you know, just the beaches. You know, people are even swimming from Morocco. Thousands of them. They're coming thousands, you know, on a weekly basis to Italy. I even saw in the villages in Italy, I thought, oh, what the hell is this? Just migrant men walking around with nothing to do. Migrant men. I didn't want to say this, or some people are going to say, oh, he's racist. He's this, he's that. No, I mean, this is more like an invasion to me. Next picture. Yeah, you see that Morocco, the Moroccan security are finding it difficult. They're climbing over walls. They're doing anything. And we've got hundreds of millions waiting in Africa, yes, who are eating clay and mud and other things right now. And they're thinking, hey, you know, there's nothing here for us. We've got a high birth rate, so we're coming. And if Morocco and Algeria get destabilized, we're going to see hundreds of millions coming. It's because we bombed Libya, so now already all these Africans came. If we didn't do it, we bombed Libyan homes, we bombed their armies, we did it. Yes, under NATO, it was France, Germany, all of us in the West, and now we've got to pay the price. That's why Italy, Switzerland, in Germany, in Paris, if you're driving from Brussels, when I drove from Brussels there a few years ago, yes, I mean, somebody else was driving, I don't drive myself. Yes, when I was coming into Paris, it's like I always have to lock the doors. It's like you see hundreds of men running around, yes, in the suburbs, and I'm sleeping on the floor in tents, this and that. They're giving them charity. Men, I'm not talking about women and children refugees. Men, yes, who pay thousands of dollars to come here. Thousands. These people, where did they get their money for $20,000 for boat crossings, just to end up in Morocco or Tunisia or Libya to cross? They paid another 20,000. It's like it cost them $50,000 just to come here. They couldn't have been poor. Now next. I'm talking about genuine refugees. Welcome. But the thing is, we're creating refugees. So Last year, Morocco stopped 80,000 migrants. Now imagine if they caused a war in Morocco. Yes, and it becomes unstable. Next. Yes, so now this is very important. Morocco has now created a military zone with the Israelis. With the Israelis, yes, because now they're experiencing tensions with Algeria. That's why Macron went there last year. It's because they're going to create a war on purpose. Because in Morocco and Algeria, the people still do farming. So it's to force people in the cities, yes, from the village areas, so that then Global Agenda 2030, they could start it there so that the people in power take control of the farming. Morocco and Algeria are supporting a lot of farming in Europe because we don't produce the food. But read the title of the second paragraph, somebody.
The second paragraph, the Algeria, Israel backing Morocco over Western Sahara.
Yeah, backing means they're setting up military bases, weapons, everything. Now, if you're doing that now, it means you're planning a war in the next few years, not after 100 years' time. Now, if they do that, like Libya was destabilized, and then millions of migrants, we'd open the door for them through Libya, and already thousands have already crossed the border. I mean, this is a joke. In Italy, the thing is, I wouldn't have put up for it. I'm surprised by the patience that people have had in Italy, Switzerland, and Australia. Austria, by all these migrants. Thank you to the people there. It's because I don't want to see migrants get hurt or anybody. We're going to have to stay patient. Write to your politicians. Yeah, don't waste time buying flags or anything. If you see any peaceful protests, supporting Palestinians, support them. If you see anybody who's being extreme, tell them to shut up. Yes, support them so that we can support them to stay in their homes. Otherwise, already 150,000 have left Gaza on their way to Europe and America. 150,000. I mean, what the hell is this? Just in a few months. I mean, this is a joke. Yes, people who are going to be a burden on us, and we can't. And then we have to do everything for them. Of course, I'm saying share the wealth. We should help them. Yes, they already had homes. It's like the homes were blown up on purpose. Next. Yes. So here we could see they're already having border skirmishes. Yes, Morocco and Algeria, somebody could read this. We assess border.
We assess border skirmishes are reasonably probable over the next year, and further diplomatic spats between the two are likely in 2025. But war remains highly likely.
Likely. Yes. So as we can see, this is not a joke. These wars are planned for their agendas. Now of course, people in Morocco and Algeria, it's going to spill over into Europe. We don't need this. We don't need this. And the next page. Yes, many veterans, this is from Veterans Today, have already said that a future war with Saudi Arabia and all these things, they're already talking about it in the next 20, 30 years. That means millions and millions of more people coming. Millions of people coming to Europe and America. I mean, the thing is, it's time we supported to stop the wars, and we're guilty because we are making money, we are getting the jobs in the military companies and everything. Oh yeah, let's let them invade, take over. Just look at the next page. Yes. So the Syrian refugee crisis, it's nowhere near over. Yeah, the Red Cross and Oxfam brought them on boats. They brought them. Yes, they brought them, and they're going to still bring more. And the thing is, you know what I mean? We bombed their houses. I mean, we destroyed it for our pipelines, whatever, or whatever. Some people say Greater Israel. I don't care what the conspiracies are, because there's so many of them. But the thing is, let's help them to stay in their countries. Yes, I mean, I'm not racist. There's foreigners everywhere. Yeah, welcome. But this is just like an invasion. I mean, we can't go to the next page. I mean, look at this. Yeah, I mean, it's just becoming ridiculous. The numbers that are coming. Yes, have a look. Just look at that. I mean, and the majority are men. We don't even know which countries they're coming from. Many of them are fake Syrians, many just economic migrants. Next page. And, somebody could read this. Now, the priority of smart cities, what many people have realized in, in doing university research, yes, and many researchers, and have seen that smart cities will prioritize to do what?
The priority is to prevent illegal migration. All participants are free to trade or exchange digital currency, which makes them subject to supervision.
Yeah, the New World Order. Yes, so now what they're going to do is if you don't have this digital currency, yes, because you're an illegal migrant, so soon they're going to say it's a security threat. Can't you see? We're trying to stop the migrants. We're trying so hard. My name's Donald. I'm trying so hard. Yeah, we're going to take them out. We're going to smoke them out or whatever. These people talk crap, these politicians, or this Nigel Farage. Oh, I'm sticking up for Britain. Yes, I think it's a great idea. Yes, I think so. They're all just a bunch of liars. Yes, so they're going to say the smart cities, yeah, and everything, 15-minute cities, microchips, everything, and they'll say it. Next page, they'll say it will prevent illegal immigrants. Yes, but it just means that it's going to control you, yeah, because that's what the supervision will be. You could read it. The smart city, the potential.
The
Yes,
smart
somebody.
cities, yeah, is that the first one? The illegal immigration and
Yes.
interior enforcement, immigrant integration, immigrants in the smart city, the potential of city digital strategies.
Yes, and then the next paragraph.
The government has announced. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, smart
What?
cities and digital transformation.
Smart cities and digital transformation, migration management strategies designed primarily to enhance control and reduce irregular immigration.
Yes, so they're going to bring in AI, artificial intelligence, on a huge scale as you've never seen before. So that your house, your door keys, everything will be through the microchip and you're going to be monitored, your face, everything. They're saying we're doing it for your security. Yes. So the thing is, and they've already started this in England. Next page. Yes. And so in England, what they've started doing is saying to people, if you're going to give an illegal migrant and to landlords, we're going to fine you £5,000, euros, or 10,000 euros, and things like this. So they're doing this, and they're saying, oh, it's not working. Many of these migrants have got thousands of dollars they're paying rent. But the thing is, the government will say to make sure we get rid of the migrants, we support the local people. Yes, support AI, support the smart cities, support digital currency, support microchips. Now, there's going to be many people who are saying, next page, that the New World Order isn't real. Yes, but they're doing it with an agenda. Now, it's all to do with the timescale. And I've shown examples of the timescale in my book, New World Order. Yes, so because all my interviews are about my books. Now I've shown that there is a new world order. It's the elite who are living inside the cities. You don't know who they are, if they're black, white, blue, or green. In the Middle Ages, the people were peasants, yes, or pests or beasts outside the city walls. Now, next page. Anyone wants more information, they could read it in my New World Order book. So now the thing is, they've been bombing all these houses: Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Yemen. They're supplying all the weapons, everything. Somalia, Sudan, all these places. I mean, how the hell did these Somalians end up in Washington, D.C. or in Sweden? I mean, there's thousands of them. I mean, how did they get here? Red Cross Airways. Yes, Oxfam Airways, United Nations Airways. Yes, we blow up their houses, yeah, and then we're kind enough to bring them back home. Ugh. And then they already had homes. Gaza looked like, not so beautiful, not in the third world, but it was in the second world. There was no need to blow it up. They did it on purpose. They could rebuild it. Yes, same like they rebuilt Germany. I mean, people stayed in the cold in Germany, didn't they? Half the people in Iraq stayed behind. Yes, while they rebuilt Iraq. In Afghanistan, half the people stayed behind while they rebuilt it. Syria, half the people stayed behind. In Gaza, they can stay there while it's being rebuilt. It's to the Americans, it's not your business. Yeah. It's not your business. Answer the Europeans. Yes, same like the people of Gaza is not our business. You see? Yeah, it's our business as a humanitarians. Help them, send the money. Yes, there's enough money from the oil. Oh, they're going to turn it into a beautiful city. Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah, you got the cash to do that. Okay, rebuild it. And they're going to say it's going to take years. No, it's not. They're lying. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, Kabul looks okay within 5 years. Yes, so did Baghdad within 5 years. You could build one district after another. Yes, you could have the Turks, yes, and the Saudis and the Emiratis get involved. Yes, and the thing is, but no, they're doing it on purpose. They know these migrants are not going to stay in Jordan or Egypt. And many of them, yeah, have already given up and they're saying, yeah, we want to leave. They know if they end up in Egypt, Oxfam and the Red Cross are bringing them to Europe and America. You bet your life on it. Then next, it's going to be the next war against Jordan or some crap, or more coming next war with the Iranians. That's why you people are celebrating. Trump is saying, the Iranians fuck about. We're going to blow them up. No, it's not. Don't you get it? We're going to have hundreds of millions coming over. This is no joke. Next page. Yes, either we take a stand now, or it's going to be too late. So this depopulation thing, when these people come over here, yeah, same like we've got these conflicts, yes, that we've seen in other places. People remember it. Yes, the Serbs remember the hatred. It's been 50 years or 100 years, but no, 100 years later, people fight. People will fight to get their blood. Yeah, let's bring all these people, hundreds of millions from the Middle East, blow them up. Yes, and they're going to remember you stole our house. You actually took the entire country. We're talking about taking over the entire Gaza. Now they've got the right to turn and say, hey, Mr. France, didn't you send weapons to the Israelis? Didn't you go along with it? Hey, Mr. England. Hey, Mr. Scotland. Hey, Mr. Canada. You took our homes. Now we're going to take yours. Look. Unfortunately, human nature is like this. We've got to stop this happening. Yes, first it's Gaza, then it's the West Bank, God knows what more. Yes, and the thing is, it's just continuing. Next page. So this is the Great Reset. They're saying it's a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Yeah, so they blew it up. Yes, waterfront property. And they're trying to make you think it's about money, this and that. No, it's because if they can get an Armageddon, then the thing is, they can bring their priestly, kingly Messiah, which is from their family. Yes, from these ruling elite families. Yes, that's what it's all about. Next page. Yes. And so we can see it's been 100 years. England get out of Ireland. Yes, and in England, the culture is still here. Many people in city areas who people think they're English, but they refuse to work. They've got Irish ancestry. Anytime a problem happens in England, the people who are in the council estates who are really Irish will suddenly turn against the English. People remember the grudges for 100 years. I mean, next page, we could see it. In Croatia and Serbia, unfortunately, we see that it's been 100 years. Now, we're talking about stealing somebody else's country, Gaza, throwing them out of their homes. I mean, what's going to happen in 50 years' time or 100 years' time in Europe and America? And we're thinking, hey, let's relocate them here. Yes, oh, they're lying, saying they were sending it to Egypt. Egypt's a shithole. I've been throughout it. Yeah, Jordan, there's nothing there. It's a desert. Nobody's going to stay there. And these people have got their agendas. I didn't want to talk about this, yeah, because unfortunately, it's going to create conflict. Don't create conflict. Don't hate these people for it. Yes, next page. Don't hate them for it. But what to think inside is we destroyed their homes and that we've got to help them to stay in their homes. You understand that? And many refugees who came, yes, from Iraq and Syria, yes, when their countries are rebuilt, they can go back, hopefully. Yes, and that's what helping refugees mean. And they will be grateful. We've been very kind to them here. Yes, and the other migrants who came through trade deals, agreements, and other people who fought for France didn't want to fight or England. Yes, that's a different case and for trade things. But here we've got it in the Quran. Somebody could read this. Yes, start from kill them. Start from there.
Kill them wherever you come upon them and drive them out of the places from which they have driven you out. For persecution is far worse than killing.
Now, what's even worse is that it's a commandment in the Quran. Yes, and no matter what, you can't erase it. They've memorized it, yeah, and which is right. It's like they're going to say, you threw us out of our homes, so now we've come here. We're going to throw you out one day. And people hold these grudges. It stayed in Ukraine and Russia. The Ukrainians are saying the Russians threw us out of our homes. We're going to throw them out. And the Russians are saying, no, the Ukrainians threw us out. We're going to throw them out. And they do. People do this even 100 years later. Am I wrong or am I right? Nachiketa, Raphael, Andreas? Tell me, you guys tell me. Unfortunately, this is human nature. No matter how much we turn people educated and nice, yes, conflicts happen like this. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Raphael?
I agree.
Well, I don't know about
Yes.
human nature,
Okay.
but it definitely seems like these conflicts are being stirred up even 100 years past, like you mentioned with Ukraine and Russia. It's a good
Yes.
example. People still, have
And,
animosity
and we
of
don't
20
need it
years
in
and stuff.
Europe and America. Yeah, we don't need it here. Yeah, I'm not against refugees. Yes, I'm not against, but the thing is, this is a joke. Everyone knows that they're going to kick them out, steal their land, and take their country, and then they're not going to give it back. And everyone knows they're going to end up in Europe, and they're not going to go back. And God knows what could happen. Now, next page. Let's move on. Next topic. So, I was mentioning about the science and the Kaaba and the Jesus Christ and sacred geometry. Now, this book goes through a lot of sacred geometry, but now let's next page. It's because I want many people to have a look at what Professor Anatoly Fomenko find, and somebody could read the subtitles. I'm going through it. This is what Muhammad did. Yes, just in the 15th, 16th century, the Prophet Muhammad. And what do Fomenko and Nosovsky say? What did the Prophet Muhammad do?
Existed at that time eventually overturned the existing world order and destroyed all the
Yes, basically, the Vatican world order under the elite princes, the Prophet Muhammad overthrew it and brought it under control. And that's where when the pests and the beasts, or whoever who lived outside the city walls, yes, joined Muhammad, and that's why throughout Europe we see this Islamic fashion. Yes. And next page. So, what did Fomenko and Nosovsky find about Muhammad Muhammad and his friends? Because I've always pointed out that Christ also, that they were professors, prophets. So Muhammad and his friends were actually with
With
I'm
scientific
sorry.
circles
Yeah, yeah. Go
and
ahead.
had access to Damascus steel, which can cut ordinary iron.
Yes, so Damascus is from the Moscow steel, not the Damascus we see today. So this Prophet Muhammad and these buddies, many of them were scientists and professors. That's why the sacred geometry at the Kaaba. Yes, and more information about that is in that book, Science of the Kaaba. So now the next page, yes, the next page actually shows, the first part of this sentence. This Prophet Muhammad, or the professor, he was closely connected to scientific circles. And then the next page, yes, and what it is that when we talk about Russia 500 years ago, Kiev and Russia, Eastern Europe, and the Vikings, and the people in Scandinavia, and the Rush who went to Ireland, or the Irish. That's why there's Arabic coins in Ireland and in England, and the history of Irish and the Vikings. And so, what did the Prophet Muhammad do? Somebody could read it. What did he do in Northern Europe?
He created this movement and gathered mainly Russian monastery monks under his banner.
Yes, so basically the educated people. Yes, and so this is what he did. And the next page, somebody could read it.
Yeah, but Muhammad was considered a great prophet by them, and Ali was a great prophet.
Now, notice in Eastern Europe, we've got Lubavitch. Now, of course, if anybody knows, if you're from Eastern Europe, Balkans, Yugoslavia, Ukraine, Vich is like, they added on like Rafaelovich or Nachiketovich or Davidovich. Yeah. So Luba, yes, is known as is Levi, and Levi comes from the name Ali, Levi. Yes, so Rabbi Lubavitch and all this is connected to the Ali side, and it's another long story, but I thought I'd point it out. Next page. Yes, so what was original Islam? What Professor Fomenko and Nosovsky found. And this original Islam, or the original religion that was in Europe, what was it?
A Christian faith.
You could read the entire sentence. Original
It was
Islam,
a
what was it exactly?
it was a religion that combined elements of both Orthodoxy and Islam. It was a Christian faith.
Yes, so that's what original Islam was. That's what originally Christianity was. And originally Islam was like a Christian faith. So now before Christ, the same religion existed, the same elite existed. Yes. So sometimes you want to call them Christians, but whatever it was, they were global. Like the next page, Fomenko and Nosovsky, even I have pointed out in my books. The next page, as far away as Thailand. Somebody could read this.
The capital of Thailand was called Judea in the early 18th century. It was now called Ayutthaya.
Yeah, now it's called Judea. It was called Judea or Judea just 200 years ago. It's because this is a global thing. There is more going on. It's because they interbred with the locals. Now the next page. Yes, because you people are saying, "Oh, I'm making it up." No, Christianity wasn't your religion to the peasants and the pests and the beasts. And their children today live in Europe and America. This religion, yeah, and religion, Hinduism, or whatever you want to call it, or original Islam, was originally practiced by who? This
For,
original Christianity, which was Islam. It was for who?
for the royal Christians, their church was essentially a family church. They built their own.
Yes, their own buildings. The peasants and the pests didn't go inside them until this prophet Mohammed came along and then blew up their cities one by one. Yes, and he said, "Free the peasants, free the slaves. You can't treat them like that. This is the story we find in the Quran." So if you're going to be telling me, "Oh no, our ancestors," no, your ancestors were eating clay. They were cannibals. They were this and that. This is the reality. That's why they knew even 100 years ago they tried to invent the story of evolution. And I'm saying, no, you evolved from monkeys thousands of years ago. But Muhammad and Christ and Moses, they turned around and said, no. All the humans are equal. Yes, what right do you have for this special thing? But the Quran, as well as the Bible, they show aspects where it says that certain families were chosen, royal blood for the prophethood, that it's within the royal blood. Yes, and the rest of humanity was not chosen. Only specific families were chosen, and these specific families, yes, intermarried and interbred in other parts of the world. Now, I'm not talking about 55,000 years of history here. I'm talking about recent history. So if there's any mental Islamists or Quranists, because I quoted some part of the Quran here, and they're going to put a comment and say God sends prophets to everybody. I'm not talking about history 3,000 years ago or here or there. Yeah, in fact, I told Islamists, evangelists, fundamentalists, Quranists, go away, don't listen to my videos, but they still come back like monkeys and dogs. Next page, please. Yes, because I don't want these people listening in. Yeah, and putting their religious comments. Yeah, because I'm talking about history. Yes, and so That's why we find in the Middle Ages, a king or a duke within the city walls. His brother was a bishop, or things like this. It was their family history, their family religions, and today the people of the world are fighting about these things. These, Bibles, Qurans, Vedas, whatever, were originally there, whatever, and many of these things have been modified, rewritten, and given to the public. So within each of these cities, what the leadership of these, you could call them Christians or Muslims or Jews or Hindus, whatever. Yeah, who were these people? Somebody could read this.
The leadership of these Christians was again members of the same royal lineage.
Yes, it was a family thing. Yes, and so what happens is sometime in history, the next page, somebody could read this, that one family after the intermarriages, because they married with the children of Adam and the children of Noah and a few other prominent families. So one family established itself as, somebody could read it. Worldwide, they established themselves as.
A certain family emerges, also known as the Holy Family, that established the state somehow.
Yes. Yes, so these are the things, and so now the next page. Many people, they've given us the fake history of nuns, and the stories contradict each other. Yeah, and so we've got stories of these nun women that were involved in. Somebody could read it. What did the nuns do? They governed the peasants within the city walls. The soldiers who did the farming, they kept 5, 10, 20% of the people. What did these nuns do?
They governed, collected revenues, got involved in politics, and became pregnant. Medieval nuns lived a very different
Yeah,
life than you might think.
yeah. Well, of course, if you're going to be from the same family, yes, and the world was different then, and everybody else is a beast. Yeah, what you're going to do is, you're going to have these nun houses or Vestal Virgin houses or the harem behind all these city walls, and you kidnap babies when they're born outside to these beasts. If they're female, you give them clothes, you give them the right food and everything, and some of them become pregnant. Yes, that's why they turn around and said only the women who are born from the mother side, Jewish blood, yes, only that side, yes, is Jewish, because the others were classified as people that they got from the animals. Yes, because they saw all of the humans as animals. This is the real history. I'm not making it up. You can go and check. So the next page. Yeah. So the next page, in Europe, we can see an example of how people were living just 100 years ago in the villages. This is a middle class family, but they've still got no shoes. And so the next page after that, because we're going to have a look at inside the Starport cities. So here is an example of these houses inside the Starport cities, not outside. So the next page shows, for example, medieval houses, and even after that, these are inside the walled cities. The next page, yes, is a picture. This is an example from Ireland, yes, and so you can see it. So inside the Starford cities, it's not what you think it was. Yes, so the people were like that until the next page. The Prophet Muhammad does his revolution, and then we can see that by the 19th century, the peasants who got educated, you've missed a page. The peasants who got educated here are the grandmothers of the people of the white Europeans who are living in your. You missed a page out. Yes. Yes. Okay.
One
Leave it
page
at
is
this.
missing, it
These are the
seems,
grandmothers.
unfortunately. It's gone.
Yeah, grandmothers of Europeans. They arrived wearing this dress, which is the dress code that we see the Mohammedans wearing. Yes, and this was in Northern Europe. And we can see that Islam only became dominant after the 1850s and 1900. Even in the early 20th century, it started to spread throughout the South and the Middle East because it came from Europe. Yes, and the next page. Yes. So here we see they're getting on off the boats from Sweden. from Austria, from France, from Holland. And what we could see is that they've got the hijab. Now, somebody else is going to say, oh, they did this and that. No, these people couldn't even make these clothes. Yeah, they were made on machines, and they're saying it was traditional dress. People are talking garbage. If you think you're speaking true, yeah, go and make a pair of shoes right now. Let's see if you can make a pair of shoes. Go and make your shirts. Go and make your jumpers. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you. That's why the world economic system, we can't let it collapse. Yes, and for the people who've come under trade, like for example, somebody complained about Pakistan. He's living in Canada. Yeah, saying what do they benefit us? Oh yeah, Pakistan supplies it's the fifth largest supplier of cotton, and we just go out there and make buy all these clothes. They're supplying the cotton, and there's thousands of deaths every year for the cotton. We don't know what damage we're causing and the number of deaths we're causing just by buying all these clothes, every week or every month or whenever. Yeah, so people have no idea. We'll go through that next time. The thing is, so the global economic system, yes, is to our advantage, and so I don't want it to collapse because it's to our advantage. But I'm not evil. Yes, I care about the third world, so I'm saying let's help them. Also, let's not waste and abuse resources. So I'm not a bad person. The next page. So when I did that video, there was comments. They were saying, "Oh, our ancestors were Christian. Were they really? Prove it." Next page. Yes. So European history is a lie. Somebody could see this. I show from every corner in Europe they're wearing the hijab, even before many people in the Muslim countries were wearing a hijab. Yes, that we will find in the early 20th century, many of the Muslims didn't even have clothes and things like this. They were naked in Saudi Arabia. No Islam came from there, but not a single Islamist or Quranist can answer why Saudi Arabia, 80% were naked, didn't have a language, and 90%, more than this, the majority did not speak Arabic, and then they're using dictionaries. Who wrote these dictionaries? Not a single Quranist will answer it. Let's see if any of these monkeys come who are preaching, saying this is the word of God, who are preaching. Let them comment and explain to me where these dictionaries came from. Come on. Come on. But they won't. I keep repeating it in the videos, but no. They'll say something else because they want to preach their religion. I've clearly said that the Quran and the Bible are historical documents. Yeah, there's a few morals in both books. If you like them, apply it. Now, the thing is, apply it in your life. Anything bad, remove it. If it says kill, plunder, steal, kill babies like it says in the Bible, or, kill them where it says in the Quran, ignore these things. Yeah, live your life as a gentleman. Let's help the world and make it a better place. Next page. Yeah, here is the Starfort city. Yeah, this is Dubrovnik. I've been there, and the walled city is still there today. Yes, a large part of it. And you could walk around and you could see where the elites were living, and you could see the sticks there. They're going to tell you, oh, these were churches. Oh, whatever, garbage. If any of you are just a clever person, walk around your own city. Look at the city plan today. Yes, you will see the suburban area. You will see a highway or a motorway surrounding the city, like a city wall. Wait, I'm going to explain to you. Then you will see the central business districts. Then you will see where the water storage is. Then you will see where the farming things are. Then you will see the industrial locations are, where the workers are, different sectors. Now in Dubrovnik, you will see the same things. Yes, where the peasants came, they had the metal workers to make metal goods that the elite needed in their district. Now you will see, sometimes you'll say they're churches, so other people will say they're minarets. Yes, these things had something to do with industrial factories. They weren't churches, nothing to do with free energy or garbage or whatever they're saying. And the animals and the pests and the beasts, 80% of the people in Europe are living outside. If they came near, the bows and arrows are there, kill them. Who cares? Leave them at the bottom of the walls. You don't need to clean it up. Other beasts are going to come, human beasts, and they're going to eat them. So you don't need to worry. Yes, so this page. So you can see Dubrovnik is many times bigger than this today. It's because, the Prophet Muhammad did the revolution. Yes, so the next page also shows Dubrovnik in color. You can go there. And I showed Dubrovnik first because Andreas is from there. Yes, and so when you walk around there, you can see how the second floor of buildings were formed and how the buildings were improved in the 19th century. Or before that, you could see the peasants' quarters. They were just like basically mud houses or like tree houses or something. And so the next page shows my book, Jerusalem is in Europe. If anybody reads it, they can see that even Jerusalem is a fake. And I'm going to present some of the evidence now, a bit more about Jerusalem, because I noticed that Islamists and Quranists tried to use it to their advantage to promote their religion. Islam is not the only way. The Quran is not the only way. Yes, the Bible is not the only way. Evangelism isn't the only way. Yes, whatever you feel right is right. And if you think you're doing good, then you do it. Yes, yes, and things like this. Now, the thing is, if somebody wants to tell you something, then they could say it in a nice way, but I don't like this type of preaching that they're doing. And the comment section is there. My videos are about history. I'm not interested in your religious garbage. Yes, so, go to hell. Yes. So now the next page. In the next page, this is going to be shocking. Here is a picture of Istanbul 50 years ago. Go to the next page first. Again, now go to the next one. Here is Istanbul today. Within the city walls, you could see millions of people. Just 50 years ago, now go back. Just 50 years ago or 100 years ago, go back and you'll be shocked. Now, yes, just 100 years ago, it was the biggest city in the world. And so, what you could see is that they brought in the peasants, and these so-called mosques or whatever were like the water centers and industrial buildings, and the farming land was there. This was the biggest city in the world. It had and people came here from all over the world to do the exchanges. Oh yeah, the Vatican was there, whatever their name was before. They were selling tickets to heaven, not for you peasants and beasts and animals. You couldn't get inside the walls. You couldn't even speak. You didn't have a language. So stop telling me that Christianity this, Christianity that. And some people will say, Jesus didn't say that. There's no evidence of it in the Bible. In this 2-hour interview, I'm saying more words than you will find what Jesus said in the entire Bible. We don't even know what he said. But some daft idiot turned out and said, Jesus never said this, Jesus never said that. You don't even know what he said. The Bible doesn't even have 1 hour of recording of what Jesus said. And the guy is supposed to have lived for 30, 40 years. 30, 40 years, you'll have thousands and millions of words. We don't have anything. We don't even know what Jesus Christ said. So that's how pathetic people are being. I'm saying this so that people will wake up. Or come on. Just wait for the depopulation, wait for the digital currency, wait for this and that, wait for the invasion of Europe, wait for Armageddon, wait for all this crap. Fall for it all, fall for it. Yes, now go to the next page and you can see what Istanbul actually was. So now many of these monkeys are going to say, yeah, it was whatever. Yes, biggest city in the world, but from these pictures you could make assessments. Yes, what they were producing and what the slaves were doing. The slaves were only given limited language, 100, 200 words. Work, sleep, bring, put down, go, come. That's what it was like, the reality. Now the next page. So here we could see the next page shows Pest, a city in Hungary. Yes, just a few centuries ago. Now, some people will say they're mosques, these minarets. Somebody else will say, hey, they look like the towers in Dubrovnik. Yes, there's 2 pages. One is Buddha. You're showing Buddha right now, Buddha and Pest. So there were walled cities, and the peasants were living in the trees. The monkeys, yes, what they say, they hadn't fully evolved. Yes, and they had no languages. You've gone past a page. I think this is Buddha city. The last page is Pest. Yeah, I think you've gone past it. Yeah, or maybe it's the one after, or maybe, yes. So here is Pest. So you could see, yes, and then the people lived like monkeys outside and whatever. Yes, and so they didn't develop it. So they did the farming inside, a lot of it within the city walls and things like that. Have a look at it. You can actually see, yeah, there's there's not even a few hundred houses in Pest. The next page, yeah. Yeah, in Pest, can't even say there's 100. So these people who are anybody who lived inside there, you were lucky if they brought you out as a beast. Italian city of Pavia. So the church and the cathedral, that's where the water storage and other things were, the grain, because some of these pests or animals that you brought as slaves, they might get too clever. So that's why they made sure you couldn't get clever or anything. You're trying to tell me that your ancestors lived in the city walls, you were Christians. You couldn't even get past the walls, your ancestors. Your ancestors weren't Christian. You didn't even know the language. That's why nobody spoke Italian. I showed it's a fraud. Nobody spoke Italian. Only 2% spoke it, 100 years ago. And that was the people within the city walls and their descendants. And they taught it to other people and it spread. Nobody spoke French. Nobody spoke English. So come on, don't give me that your ancestors were Christians reading Bibles, went to churches. You couldn't even climb over the walls. You'd be dead. Yeah, next page. Yeah, Exeter. You could just see it. The elites had a church there for the water supply system, food storages, a few other industrial buildings. They had a few peasants, not even 50 houses where they kept the animals and things like this. Yeah, it's becoming a bit obvious. Brussels. Yeah, Brussels. I like Brussels. Yes. Have a look. Today, it's like 20, 30 times bigger. So that's why when this Mohammed started busting the city walls, saying blowing them up throughout Europe, yes, and his followers in the next 200-300 years, yes, what happened is you can see that these places got bigger. Now some of the royal families, they had many children, and if there's 100 of them, then they'll need a thousand of you people, pests or beasts, to come and work inside. Next page. So we can see, and if you compare it today, yes, Brussels is a lot bigger. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's Strasbourg. Yes, Strasbourg. You can see the star forts and other things. So many of these things were used for different purposes. And you can see at the bottom. Go at the bottom, and you can see there's a church type or cathedral or mosque type of building with the minaret or the tower. Call it whatever you want. I'm not on any side. If you want to know history and the truth about God, religion, and everything, then here it is. Yes, you peasants weren't any religion. Yes. So the next page. Yes, so here is Strasbourg, as we could see again. So you could see it, and the city's grown bigger. Yes, yeah, I think that's Strasbourg. I've forgotten which picture that is. The next page. Yes, and so today it's way bigger. And the thing is, you can't even recognize it. Only a few small remains of how big it is. Yeah, so the thing is, the people didn't live there. Next page. You can find hundreds of cities like this throughout wherever. Yes, and the thing is, if somebody's going to turn around and tell me, what do you call it, about these evangelists, Islamists, Quranists, fundamentalists, we're hearing it all the time. These people use their religion, for sexual assaults, for the kidnapping, this, that, and they're preaching, evangelists arrested. I'm not going to show these specific cases. I think you went past a page. Yeah, go back a page. Yes, and Islamists arrested. No, go forward one page, I meant. Yeah, yeah, here. So we could see Islamists, Quranists, people who are getting arrested. Because why are they trying to bother you, trying to fill your head with crap, saying, oh, you got to listen to this, you got to listen to this, you got to whatever. I mean, why are they doing it? It's because they want to follow him. They want to get famous. They want their likes. They want this and that. They want their PayPals, whatever. God knows what it is. Yes. And the thing is, when most of us want to live our lives and we want the truth. Yes. And these people have got their agendas. Next page. Yeah, so here it is. It wasn't me when I was turning around and saying the soils in Africa, the white soils. Yes, so they've been saying it for centuries. Not centuries, decades. They've been saying that humans came out of Africa. Yes, and they're saying several different races came. And so they said it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm just repeating science. But no, some daft woman, I'm even calling her daft, I don't care. She wrote bad things about me. Yeah, YouTube deleted her comment. I hope you're listening, because it wasn't me. I'm just repeating history, showing you how stupid this is. Yeah, humans evolved out of monkeys and that the white races came out of Africa. Go to the next page and you'll see they're saying it. They are saying it, not me, that they're saying something happened, mutated from some beast, some ape or something, that the whites came out of Africa. And then the skin whitening, things like this, the mud, what they had over there and whatever. They're saying it, the scientists. Now, if I speak about it, somebody's going to say, David's saying it. Oh, by the way, when I said they want to throw the people out of Gaza, it was Donald Trump and Netanyahu of Israel who said this, and the leader of the Jewish state who represents the Jewish people that he claims, he said it, not me. I'm just reading it out. Is somebody going to write a comment and say, "Oh, David's throwing the people out"? How dumb was this woman? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with these people. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm just showing this so that people will know these things. So then they turn around and modern humans, the next page, evolved out of Africa, thousands of years ago, etc. And they live in villages. So they're saying it. Next page now. Again, next page. Yeah, so they're saying it. Yes. And so now, when we've got to the next page, now about the one after, go again, next page. So there was also these people from an Islamist and evangelist background, several people who commented, yeah, but because they spoke like monkeys, yes, that's why their comments got deleted. Now, this is a postcard of Zagreb, yes, around 100 years ago. And so, because these monkeys don't study anything and they want to bark like a dog and put their stupid comments and say, David's a liar, David's a Jew, David's a Zionist, David's whatever, David's throwing the people out of Gaza, David bombed Gaza. I didn't do anything. I didn't make the postcard. And so these dummies, I've always said, go and do more research, read my books. And of course, these dummies, yes, and Islamists, evangelists, Quranists haven't read all my books, some of them, and they're going to comment. They said, oh, this is a fake picture. It looks like there's highlights and the shadow's been removed of some of the people. But of course, these dummies won't know how these postcards were made 100 years ago because they never bothered to check. But let's go back. Go back a page, and somebody could read this. It was known as Poitvins colotype about postcards, and they show examples. Yes, around the 1900s. So somebody could read this in Poitvin's process. What
Yes,
happened in the
in
process?
Poitvin's process, a lithographic stone was coated with a light-sensitive gl- gelatin solution and
Gelatin.
exposed through gelatin. Gelatin's exposed through a photographic negative. The gelatin would harden and in exposed areas, leading to the stone becoming hydrophobic in light areas and thus repetitive to the can't read it ink
Yeah.
something ink.
Anyway, for the normal people who are educated people who are doing historical research, of course they're going to go out there and do research, which is because we want to know what is going on. There are many normal listeners, yes, and they understand that it's a difficult job for Andreas or Raphael or Nachiketa that we're trying to show what happened in history. But these people with religious agendas who want to preach us, Islamists, Quranists, evangelists, and fundamentalists, they won't understand and they won't try to understand what it means here. So the thing is, what they did was they modified the negatives to make the pictures look good. And of course, they modified many backgrounds. Of course, some of them were done for political reasons, and many of them were just done to make it look clearer. Because what was the reason that postcards were used for? Go on to the next page on the one after. Next page next. Yeah, so here somebody could read this.
Yes, lithography and colotype were the two processes
Yes.
responsible for most picture postcards printed between 1893 and 1920. Colotypes have an artistic finish with delicate lines and tonal gradation similar to an original photograph.
Of course, yes, the genuine people who are listening, there's many genuine people and they do research, people like me, yes, and my family was connected to printers when I was young, many years ago. So I know this myself. Yes, and genuine people will go out there and go and check it, and they will talk to people in the professional print industry. Yes, but the monkeys who want to preach their god or their religion are going to turn around and say, oh no, David prevented fake evidence. No, but these monkeys didn't bother to check anything about postcards. Next page. So now what many people don't know is that in the early 20th century, as I said before, photographs and small postcards, yes, were used as letters. And basically, for a penny, anybody could send a postcard or a photograph, yes, from anywhere in the world to say hello, because people migrated so much. They were blowing up Europe. Yes, after Prophet Muhammad's revolution, many cities started to grow bigger by the 18th, 19th century. But no, they thought we have to control this system now, invent more fake languages, everything. And so they blew up Europe. Yes, because Europe was the heartland of this Prophet Muhammad. Yes, when he united the forces of the Russians and the Germanic races and invaded the Vatican in Constantinople. Yes, so this is what postcards were used for. If somebody wants, they could read it from the sentence. During the early part of the 20th century, these photographs, small photographs also, because you could go to a shop and tell them to develop a photograph for you. And what were they used for?
Uh, let's see. During the early part of the 20th century, from the late 1890s through the late 1920s and even the early 1930s, postcards were a primary form of communication. For just a penny, anyone could send a postcard offering best wishes, documenting travels, or just say hello.
Basically, it was
Continue.
WhatsApp for that time. Yeah, no. Basically, it was WhatsApp for that time, or your telephone call. Yes, that's what they were used for at that time. It was the main thing. Yes. So now the next page. So now we've got this thing that the thing is, all these throughout Europe, people are evangelists are going to be preaching, but throughout Northern Europe, we're finding thousands of coins that are, and Muhammad is the messenger. Now the thing is, there's too many of them. Yes, there's that many of them, millions of them, that we cannot say it was being used by the city ruling families. Yes, the city ruling families didn't really need coins. They went to see their cousins or other elites in other cities and they exchanged goods. That's how they did it. So now the coinage system, it's like what we find throughout Europe is these Arabic coins with Muhammad's name on it. Yes, and they're in Northern Europe. And then the second largest collections are throughout India. Yes, I haven't gone through that yet, but we can't seem to find them in the Middle East. And in Southern Europe, it's a lot less than Northern Europe. So Northern Europe, yes, the people at one point must have become the followers of this Prophet Muhammad. Yes. So now the next page, we can see all over people are pointing out throughout Northern and Eastern Europe the Shahada. There is no God but Allah. Yes, and they extended the dates early medieval Europe, but basically it's before the 16th, 17th century. We could see throughout Northern Europe, we've got these, Islamic coins, thousands of silver coins, not bronze or copper. Yes, which are basically fake. And so now the next coin, next page, and people could read this in their own time. That they're always finding it all the time. Just read the titles. That should be enough so to read them. They're always finding new discoveries.
Arabic coins from Dark Ages found in Germany.
Next title.
Arabic coins as a silver source for Slavonic.
Yeah, for the Slavs. Basically, yes, it was them. So Islam didn't come from the Middle East. And now we've got, people who came as immigrants from the third world who don't know this history and who are now using these dictionaries. Yes. And they're trying to tell people, yes, this is what the Quran says. That's what it says. When it's a simple historical book, it's written in a poetic fashion, not totally poetry, same like the Bible is, and it's written in prose. Now, in poetry and prose, when you recite it, it could have multiple meanings. One day I'll go through that because I've written poetry in prose, but many of these evangelists and Quranists have never written a poem in their life. And then they're trying to translate the Quran and the Bible in sentences, trying to tell us meanings, when a lot of it is written in like prose or poetry. Now, if anybody studies literature, intelligent people, listeners, will know that literature, when they went to school, yes, you could interpret it in different ways. So there's different ways to God. But no, these people insist in only their way. Yes, they can sod off. Yes, next page. I'm saying it like this because I've had enough. Yeah, these videos are about history. Yes, so what we could hear, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Sweden, and they're telling us that they came from Afghanistan or from Yemen or Saudi Arabia or Iraq. All these Arabic coins ended up in Denmark, Norway, Sweden, yeah, because millions of them. So can you imagine? They're sat there in Afghanistan making millions of gold and silver Arabic coins, saying there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger. Just millions of extra ones so that they could end up in Europe. Which is Bolstein. So now the next page. Not only have we got this, but we're being told in the other side of the world, China, that these Mongols. Yes, what were the Mongols doing? I mean, they're in China, in Vietnam. These Mongols, they're invading, and what language is on their coins? Don't forget, they're invading Southeast Asia, Vietnam, wherever. In the other side of the world, we're being told, yes, that these Mongols, and they invaded Europe too. But somebody could read this.
Arabic was used on the coins because the Mongols still found coinage useful as a medium for communicating the power of the state.
Ah, so now so they're telling us the Mongols or the Chinese or whoever you want to call them, or they're using Arabic. We find the same thing in Europe. That means Arabic must have been the global language. But Arabic was not a language with thousands of words. It's just like 500 words for 80% of the Quran. Yes? But no, many people tried to show the supremacy of the modern Arabic language. It wasn't the fake Arabic language they're using today. And not a single Quranist or Islamist could answer why nobody in the world speaks Arabic and they learn it in schools. And the schools were opened by the British and the French. And the British and the French and the Freemasons and the Jesuits opened these schools and gave them the dictionaries. Then they translate the Quran with this. And then they're preaching us this Quran. You tell me, does this sound like a joke to you? Now you can comment about this issue. Raphael, Nachiketa, Andreas, does this sound like a joke?
How do you mean like a joke? What do you mean exactly, David?
Does this sound like a dictionary of God? Did God write these dictionaries? Did Allah write the Aramaic dictionary, or the Bustani family and the Jesuits and the Masons?
No, it seems certainly clear also from many presentations, also many public on my channel and on Andreas' channel. Yeah, books are usually written by men, I would say.
Maybe the Bustani Arabic dictionary and the Jesuits and the Freemasons and the British and the French, who opened all these schools and universities throughout the Middle East where not a single person could speak Arabic, maybe they got the dictionary from God. Maybe the British Empire, yes, they've got an internet community webpage with God, and they downloaded the dictionary from God for them to preach Aramaic and to preach Arabic and Hebrew. Yes, don't you think so? They
Well, I
downloaded
don't.
it from heaven, the dictionaries. Oh, well, yes, and then they're going to say, oh, David's racist. I'm not. I'm talking common sense here. They're trying to tell me it says this in the Bible. I mean, who downloaded the dictionary, Hebrew dictionary? Who the hell wrote it? Yeah, it's only 100 years old. This evidence is in my book, Jerusalem is in Europe, and other books. I've got no time to go into it here. So now the next page, Anatoly Fomenko shows that Joshua and the invasion of what they say when Moses left, that was Jesus Christ, and they invented the fake Mongol history. This was the invasion of Europe from the east. So many of the white people that people talk about actually came from Asia, and they invaded westwards. That's why we see many Middle Ages maps showing Asia as the North Pole or the North, yes, and the South is Europe, yes. So we can see it, and so they say, it's written in the Middle Ages, the lost 10 tribes of Israel were the Mongols. Somebody could read this, both the Mongols.
Both the Mongols, identified by Matthew Paris, with the 10 lost tribes of Jews, and the recovered work
Yes,
of Scripture on the.
yes, yes. So they're going to say it's written in 1238, but it's a lot later, maybe 16th, 17th century. So this guy's allegedly writing in England, yes, or and allegedly in Latin. The documents cannot be verified older than the 17th century. But the thing is, these Mongols were allegedly the Jews who invaded Germany and France, and many of them made their way to England and the Americas, are the people that we call Anglo-Saxons or the white races today. And they were the missing tribes of Israel, or some of the missing tribes. And the other Mongols invaded China and India. Yes, with a guy called Joshua or Yeshua, who was Jesus Christ. Yes, fighting the other, elite families. Next page. Yes. So next page. Yeah, so this is why people can read this themselves, Anatoly Fomenko's books. That's why we can see that they took the geographical names westward. Yes, and we could see some of the similar names as far away as Asia, and then in Russia, and then in in Europe, and then in the Americas, because people duplicated the names. A perfect example is Cordoba in Argentina. Yes, Cordoba in Spain. Yes, and so the next page. Yeah. So now here we have, yes, so many Muslims, what they do is dye their hair color red or ginger. Yes, and it's known this, and they say it's an example, because for them to remember this Prophet Mohammed. Yes. Next page. And the history of Islam, known as the Hadith, has been modified, but it's based on an original history. And they falsified the locations. This is in my book, Science of the Kaaba. But what color hair was the Prophet Muhammad known to have had? There is some evidence to show it was dark hair, yes, but many people say that from the documentation, he originally had what hair color?
Red hair.
Red. Yes, and so the thing is, next page. Now the word red, yes, many people don't check. Yes, somebody could read this. The first name.
The first name Rus has its origins from in the Old French name Rose, which means red, and was often used to describe someone with red hair or a Rudy.
Yes, yes. So that's who the Russians were. And not only that, that was one of the meanings, and another meaning was Rush and then Reich. Reich or Raj in India, the Raja, the ruler. Yes, and so the ruler or the Rus al or the prophethood. Yes, so many of the Reich or the Reichstag or the German Reich or the Frankreich, the French Reich. Yes, and so that's where we get or the rain or the red, and so these things are connected. Many of the meanings are still there in Franco-Germanic words. The next page. Yes. So as we can see, Roth is a boy's name in Germanic languages, which means red or redhead. Yes. And so the Prophet Muhammad was known to be connected to Roth or Rush or Russia. Yes. And that's why we find all these, Arabic coins throughout Europe and many Qurans throughout Europe. So now the next page. So another thing is Esau. Esau means Isa, yes, which means Christ, even in Old English. Jesus was called Esau before they invented the letter J. And so the Edomites are known as the descendants of Esau. Yes. And so the thing is, that is known as which color? Esau is known as which color even in Hebrew tradition?
Red.
Yes, so now the next page. So the next page, another thing is, yes, because the Edomites are known as the followers of Esau. So what happened is, yes, the meanings changed. So many of the people who became Adam, because they were seen as beasts, so many people who followed Christ learned how to speak. They learned the sacred geometry. That sacred geometry is more in my book, Science of the Kaaba. So then they started to be called Adam. And that's why Adam is which color normally in Hebrew and many other traditions?
Red.
Yes, and not only red, but red clay. Yes. So we can see this. And so the next page. Yes. And so the next page, there is the question of many people will say, oh, he's an Ishmaelite or he's an Israelite. So now somebody could read the last paragraph starting from Jether in the Bible. For example, his mother was Abigail. Yes. And so his mother was Abigail, who's the sister of King David, the sister of King David. Yes. And Amasa was an Ishmaelite. So Jether, what race was he? Had dual nationality.
Jether had dual nationality, being an Ishmaelite and Israelite, although it might be a case of an assimilated Ishmaelite living in Israel.
Now, for the fake history, they're going to say it might be a case. When you read the Bible carefully, it tells you that King David's sister was called Abigail, and King David's father was called Esau or Jesse or Joshua, which is another suspicious thing. Yes? And so Joshua led the military invasion of Israel, and King David was like a military leader. These things are very suspicious. Yes? And so now his sister marries an Ishmaelite. Yes? And he was the military commander of King David. So that means that their children, the mother was an Israeli, and the father was an Ishmaelite or an Arab. So now it was a similar case of, was Muhammad one of the children of Israel, or was he a children of Ishmael? So these things, because these people intermarried, we no longer know. Yes. So now here is the next page. Now, with reference from the Bible, so that people could find it, Jether or Jethro, you could say, or whoever, yes, was the husband of Abigail, who is the sister of King David, and this is recorded in Chronicles. These are the chronicles of the kings of Europe. Israel was in Europe during the Middle Ages. Therefore, the Prophet Muhammad's family, the next page, if anybody wants it, goes through the family tree, etc. The Ishmaelite Abigail was the mother of Amasa, yes, whose father was Jethro, the Ishmaelite, and things like this. So things like this. So now the next page, we saw Esau. We could see Esau and the wives of Midrash and the Agada. This later marriage was the result. Of course, they're going to say negative. Yeah, some Jewish people don't like it, so they'll say negative motives. Esau or Jesus or Esau plotted with Ishmael to kill Isaac and Jacob, to marry the daughter of Ishmael. So they've duplicated the story, Jacob and Esau, whereas really that's they want to show that's the fight between Israel and Christianity. Yes, you see. So these things, you could smell it a mile away if anybody reads it, and they're showing that there's multiple marriages, etc. Now the next page, yes, here we see conservative Judaism. Will say that Jewish descent was originally through the father, and they're saying it changed 2,000 years ago, but then it changed actually because the men, the cities were small. It's only your family. You've married your cousin, things like this, and so you've got the Vestal Virgins or the nuns, and so these children who are being born to the beasts were not allowed to be, royal blood. You see, so that's why they turned around and said, okay, let's change it, that you're Jewish only through the mother. Do you get it? Yes. So at first it was Jewish through the father. It was always Jewish through the father. So now on the next page, they changed it to, the halakha law, or the, if you want to say halal law, that it must be through your mother. But this was the law of the elite, nothing to do with modern Judaism. Yes. And so it's an idea from the Bible. Yes, that we see on the next page of Jeremiah chapter 31, where it says that the people in power, basically, the house of Israel, who's already married into the Ishmaelites, married into the Adamites and the Nephites, that what will they do? Yes, somebody could read it. Behold, the days are coming.
Behold, days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast.
Yes, so because they got these women pregnant, and so they started to interbreed, and that's how the movement of Jesus Christ started to grow big. Because imagine that you had a child with the beast. Yeah, she grew up in one of the nunneries. She's beautiful now. She's been eating human food instead of being a cannibal like the rest of the people throughout Europe, Asia, India, America, Africa. So now that child, when it grows up, joined the rebellion with Moses, joined the rebellion with Jesus Christ, joined the revolution of Muhammad. You see, that's what actually happened. So they did it. And so, as we can see, it's in the Bible, the next page. People can pause and go through this their own time. This is from my book, 33 Degrees. Yeah, they'll find it in my book, 33 Degrees, where it shows, yes, that Muhammad's a common name in the Bible, and that, Muhammad was a common name in Europe, you know, and the children of Ephraim were actually Muhammad. For some reason, they're connected to the 12 tribes of Israel. But Ephraim, we will find, going to the next page, what do you call it? Yes, Ephraim had a double blessing or something. Yes, and he received the blessing of the birthright. Yes, because Jacob crossed his blessed hands or something. Yes, or did it in the form of a cross, which is the kursi in Arabic, or the cross, which is the throne of heaven. Yes, and so that's why many people on the next page have started to wake up. Yes, and but they're still hiding it and saying, according to Rabbi Jacobson, the brother, that the descendants of Esau will serve or worship is Jesus. That Jesus is Esau or Isa. Yes, the Quran even says it's Isa, and they've invented the story of Jacob and Esau and the birthright. Yes, so this is, it's between their family. They're fighting about who is going to be the king of the world. Oh, the peasants and the pests, and their children who've grown up today, who are called Europeans and Americans and Asians and Australians, are saying, it's the Messiah. Oh, this is going to be the global ruler. Oh, this is Armageddon. We've got to serve him. They're already there believing it and falling for it. Yeah, carry on believing it. Yeah, you were pests and beasts to them, naked animals to them before. And then they invented the history saying, oh, you've not even evolved because they didn't want you. And now, depopulate or whatever, get rid of the extras. So, it's even there. This history is there. And so, because there was no letter J, the next page, even the Jesuits were not called the Society of Jesus, they were called the Society of Esau. Yeah, Esau, and the Quran says it's Esau. That's why I've said the Quran is a genuine historical document. Professor Fomenko has said it, and it's got an alternative history that was parallel with other histories at the time, and it's like an opposition. Yes. Yes, because the side that's with Muhammad accepts the children of the beasts and the peasants. That's the difference. The next page. Yes, we can see the thing is, so Esau and Jacob, they've just repeated the history, falsified it. And so you could read this. This is from, an Israel website, you could say a Jewish website, or Hebrew Christian website. Was Esau the father of Christianity? Yes. So somebody could read it. There is a Jewish tradition.
There is a Jewish tradition stemming from the Talmud that the descendants of Esau would eventually become the Romans and to a larger extent all Europeans.
Yeah, it's not a tradition. It's because the Talmud was basically 19th century. It was re-edited and whatever. It's actual history. Yes, and they're writing about the past. Yes, that only 100 years ago, 19th century is only 100 years ago. We're talking 125 years ago. Yes. So these things, the Esau and the Edomites or the Adamites are red-skinned people, and these things, the Christians, and that's Europe, as we can see. Yes. So the next page, it goes through the rest, and it shows the battle that's going on between Esau and the Edomites, the elder brother of Jacob, and things like this. And so this war has been going on. The twins, Esau and Jacob, they've invented the story in the Bible. So it shows that the Bible must have been re-edited in the 18th, 19th centuries and updated. Yes. And so in the next page, somebody could read it in the biblical narrative on the next page. Yes, in the biblical narrative.
In the biblical narrative, Jacob and Esau struggled with each other. Even in the womb of their mother, they had a troubled
Ah,
childhood.
yeah. Yeah, they were fighting as babies to see who's going to be the king. Is it going to be the Jews or is it going to be the Christians? And now the thing is, this battle still continues. Yeah, at the top level. And the worst thing is they're going to use immigration. They're going to do everything because they're still fighting. The New World Order hasn't been established. If you read my book, New World Order, you'll understand that more. It goes through the mathematical details. And so now the next page, yes, we know that they've intermarried. So yeah, I'm pointing this out because there's pathetic evangelists and pathetic Quranists who commented, yes, saying, oh, it's not from this family or bloodline. But I'm going through history. I don't care about your religious whatever. You're trying to preach your God to me or whatever. But we can see that there was intermarriages. After Esau saw that his father Isaac had ordered Jacob not to take a wife from the daughters of Canaan, he abandoned his evil wives ways and he married Meleth, and she was a daughter of his.
One second, David. Please repeat yourself. It seems you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm reading it from there. You could read it. You could read it yourself and tell me who
Yes.
Jacob married.
So I'll read it. After Esau saw his father Isaac had ordered Jacob not to take a wife from the daughters of Canaan, he abandoned his evil ways and married Mahalat, the daughter of his uncle Ishmael. By merit of this marriage, the Holy One, blessed be he, forgave Esau all his sins.
Yes, so you can see Ishmael is in the blood in Europe. Yes, so that's why when I turn around and say that from the descendants of Jesus, or it looks like if this is correct, yes, that I pointed out that Esau was Jesus Christ himself, then Jesus Christ, yes, was a man. Yes, and if they're saying there is the bloodline of Jesus Christ and his descendants, because he was one of the royals, many people point out, and he married an Ishmaelite. Yes, that would make, if Muhammad was one of the descendants, that would make Muhammad a descendant of Jesus Christ, like many people point out, saying that even the royal family in England are the cousins and descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. So people are not paranoid when they point these things out. But because the Bible isn't clear, because it says in one place there's this marriage, then it says that Esau or Jesus Christ, yes, Esau married an Ishmaelite, but then Esau was Jesse or Esau because there was his son was King David. Go and check this. And then David's sister Absalom, yes, she was Jewish, but then she married an Ishmaelite. So if Muhammad came from either of them, whichever way, he's got both of the bloodlines within them. Yes, what you call Arab or Jewish, or and it's not Arab and Jewish. It was they were throughout Eurasia. You see, have you understood this point that I've pointed out? Yes. So there's people who are going to say, "Oh, God sent from other families too." Yeah, get over it. I've already said these families intermarried, and you haven't even read all the books, but you want to preach your Bibles or Qurans. Sorry, I'm not here for preaching. I'm going through the history. And you didn't even know this history. That's why you preachers keep coming back to see what more I'm saying, because you're shocked by this information. And it's hard enough for many people as it is. You're giving a bad name to the Bible and the Quran, and they're beautiful historical documents. You're giving a bad name that I've seen people even commenting, throw the Bible out of the window, throw the Quran in the trash. You're making people angry. Yes, put some nice words there for a change. Yeah, because the majority of the comments are from the majority of the listeners who are nice, genuine people who are doing research, and it's annoying people. Yeah, I'm saying on their behalf, sod off. Yeah, next page, please. Yes. So now we can see, since the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh are often called the two half tribes of David, of Joseph, so they constituted the tribe of Joseph. But Ephraim, because it's mixed so much and it was a major thing, even when we get to the Americas. So now we've got, when you get to the Americas in the Book of Mormon. Now, Fomenko pointed out the importance of the history of the Mormons. But of course, many right-wing evangelists have ruled out the Mormons, yes, and they've not genuinely investigated, the history within Mormonism. The next page. So we could see Lehi or Alihi or Ali. Yes, Lehi, Ali was a descendant of Manasseh, and Ishmael, according to them, was a descendant of Ephraim. Yes, so whichever way it is, it's not about descendants, they intermarried. So now we've got Ephraim, and then was a descendant of Ishmael. I mean, which one was this Mohammed? Was he from King David? But then Jesus was from King David. So they've changed the order of everything, and they've messed it up. But we can see that this Ali, even this Ali, yes, or Lehi, and there we get from the Alawi or the Levites or Luva or Alevi or Lubavitch. Now Lubavitch. Now this is very important because there's many of this Lubavitch. It's a very big movement, and it's very important, yes, to see what they believe in, because then we can look at the other Levites or the Alevis who reject the Quran and say that it's a fraudulent document. This is very important. One day I'll go through that. Yes. Next page. Yes. So the thing is, on the next page, once again repeats. Many Mormons and Christians in America are saying that Ishmael was a descendant of Ephraim, and so therefore that would make Muhammad an Israelite or Jewish. Yes. And so here, if people want, the website is there, chronology.org, and they've tried to put a summary on the next page of Flamenco talking about the Mormons and Noah. And, after the biblical flood, many people went to the Americas. Yes, Noah and the book of Nephi, and, how they crossed the ocean and things like this. Yes, when there was a flood in this side of the world, there is no evidence that it was a global flood. The Quran does not say that it was a global flood, for example, which is, the Bible hints like it was a global flood. But the next page, yes, here we have it from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And what did they say? Somebody could read the first sentence. Ishmael is who?
I'll read it.
First sentence?
Ishmael is, yes, Ishmael is of Ephraim. The Book of Mormon is sometimes referred to
Yes,
as the
that's
stick
it.
of Joseph.
That's the first sentence.
Okay.
Yes, Ephraim.
Hmm.
Ephraim, yes, that's the first sentence. Yes. So basically, that's the point. You see that the first sentence. So Ishmael is from Ephraim, and Ephraim is a and Muhammad is from Ishmael. So either way, yes, that makes Muhammad an Ishmaelite or an Israelite. Who cares about the blood? These elites. Muhammad was one of the elites. Yes, but what made him and Jesus Christ different is that they spoke for the rest of the world, and they said it's time to share the technology and teach the rest of the world languages and the sacred geometry. And the sacred geometry, I put it in the science of the Kaaba. And then if somebody carries on reading this in their own time, the third line, Lehi or Ali, or according to the Church of Latter-day Saints, was a descendant of Manasseh, children of Israel. Yes, and the next page. And so because there was some Quranist and Islamist objection, but the mainstream Muslims, have done a lot of research. Yes, and they've pointed out that for them anyway, Israel means who was at the top. It wasn't just a bloodline, but people who are connected to God by covenant. Yes, and so the next page, yes, this is from an Islamic Institute of Mainstream Islam, and so it is not me. Some of these Quranists and Israelites, Islamists, are going to try to divert people from from historical research because they want you to listen to what their Quranist or Islamist meaning says, because they want you in their religion. They're trying to convert you. But mainstream Islam, because we're talking about the history of Islam, because Quranism and Islamism is new. Yes, but mainstream Islam, what does it say? And what does the Quran confirm? That if anybody investigates themselves, and I found this, that that the children of Israel were chosen for the prophethood. Yes, compared to other people. But what does the Shia Institute say? Somebody could read this.
The Quran confirms that the children of Israel were chosen and preferred by Allah over other peoples. But it explains this differently
Ah,
from its
okay. I've got it. Ah, so does the Bible. It says they were chosen. So does the Quran, that they were chosen for the prophethood, for the leadership. You see, and for other reasons. It also says other people were chosen too. I'm not talking. I've not said other people weren't chosen, but monkey religious people are going to comment. I've told them to go away, but they still won't go. Yes, because they're getting in the way of nice, genuine listeners who are trying to research. Yes, and they're bothering other people. They're bothering people on Facebook and everywhere else. It's got to stop. I mean, no wonder they get arrested and get thrown in prison. These Islamists, evangelists, Quranists, and fundamentalists. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, it's on these Islamic websites. I'm not making it up. But they're going to say David's a liar. Why? If you are trying to preach me, why don't you go to these Islamic institutes, tell them to change what they're saying is Islamic history? Because I'm showing this to the world. The world must know about what's going on in the majority of the world. I'm talking about the history of the majority of the world. I'm not talking about Alibaba and some Quranist out there, or some Paul, some guy called Paul who thinks he's some modern day Saint Paul or somebody. Yes, I'm not here for these people. Yes, so the next page here is a verse from the Quran itself, and somebody can read it. This is from the Quran itself. I've not written this. In case they're saying it's Google, no, you could open the website. Yes, and this is what it says in the Quran. Somebody could read it. What does it say? Indeed we gave the
Indeed, we gave the children of Israel the book, Torah, the scripture, its Jewish laws, and understanding and prophethood. We chose them above the nations.
does it say we didn't choose them?
We
What does
chose.
it say? Ah, so there was some pathetic comment saying, "Oh, whatever, Islam's not like the rest of them." This is something we've got to think. Yes, whoever gave these religious books out to people wants the rest of the world to think that these people are chosen. You see? Now, the thing is, the Quran goes a bit further in the details, and it talks about the rebellion within the chosen people. So that's why it became the book of the opposition. Yes, and then in Christ also, yes, there are certain aspects that are from this, but within the Christian side now, it's become a political movement. Now in Islam, yes, there is the political Islamists and the Quranists. Yes, they're more like political movements. So the thing is, people should be careful of them. And if anybody bothers you too much, you just block them or report them to the website, or if they get too personal, report them to the police. This is what I say. So now back to we went to before. So Superman, yeah, he was known as the son of Zor-El or Israel. Yes, that's why it's called Zor-El. And so the next, as we could see, yes, that whoever created it, yes, you could see that General Zod or General God, yes, and the Trinity and the cross, yes. So the cross, they're trying to make it into a bad symbol. Yes, but the thing is, it's not a bad symbol. It's bad if it brainwashes you in the wrong way for worship of whatever religious creeds or whatever. People use it to their advantage. Yes, and so many people have noticed the next page, General Zod, Ursa, and it's basically the Trinity. Yes, you know what I mean. It's basically the Trinity, and so the next page, somebody could actually read this. So about Superman, he's the son of Jor-El. So the real Israel is supposed to be this. This was Moses. This was Jesus. This was Muhammad. That they were different. They were from what we could say, the children of Israel or children of Ishmael. I don't want to fight of what their genetics were. That these three that we know, yes, what they were different, and we could see it in the movie. So General Zod says about this Superman, what does he say?
General Zod, this Superman is nothing of the kind. You see, I've discovered his weakness. He cares. He actually cares for these Earth people.
Yes, so the thing is the movies, they spend a lot of money on them. They're making them specifically for the several millions of people who are from the upper class families. And then if the rest of you, the people who are the descendants of the beast and pest, don't watch them, they don't care. So they do this because they know this is to show the story of Muhammad, the story of Jesus, and the story of Christ. Because many of the people among many of the several million who are there at the top are actually on the same side as Jesus Christ and Muhammad. It's like Muhammad won the war. That's why at the moment the world is different. That's why we all have all these freedoms. We have Moses started it off. Jesus Christ got halfway. Muhammad basically overthrew the old world order. He seized Constantinople as the conqueror. Fatih Sultan Muhammad, they call him. Yes, so he basically changed the world order. So now, while things are good, let's make things better. Let's help the rest of the world. Let's not, try to force people or insist on our way. There's different ways to God. We don't even know who God is. There's different definitions of God. It's like I pointed out that there is the curtain separation between man and God. There was some Islamist or Quranist monkey, I'm calling him, because that's what he is, who tried to say David's a liar. He called me a liar, so I'll call him a monkey. Yes, what he tried to say is, oh no, that's supposed to be the separation between in your mind when you communicate with God. No, it's up to the people how they want to interpret it, because different people communicate with God. Some people meditate when they communicate with God. Some people use bodily action in church, they kneel, or in mosque they kneel. Some people prefer that way. You are a dictator if you're going to try to force your Quranist and Islamist way on Christians who want to kneel in church or Muslims who want to kneel in church. If they want to do it, if they feel better that way, they can do it. Who are you to tell people what to do? I'm talking about history. I'm not interested in your religious garbage. Go away, sod off. Yes. Now, next page. Yeah, here. So somebody's pointed out here. Yes. In the comments, a genuine comment, not from one of these evangelists or Islamists or fundamentalists or Quranists. Yeah, the genuine comments. He points out. Yes. 1902. Yes, his family were in the city area. His grandfather had 7 brothers, 3 sisters. It's true, kids didn't have shoes. They all had clothes because they were in the city areas, nomad areas. He just points out all his family were miners, and the boys were 13. They got boots to go down to the mines. That's because they was in the city area, and they were brought up in the city to be used to work to do the mining. That's why they had clothes. Their diet consisted of bread and dipping jam or soup. Yes, occasionally meat, stew, and potatoes. Yes, I could see this right now in India and China. Things improved after World War One. So this system that when Muhammad overthrew the old world order has been getting better and better. Yes. So you see, so the thing is, slowly as we developed the world, the clothes, they improved as we did the mining, because where did the cotton come from? It's coming from Pakistan, India, places like this. They're in the top 5 producers. So that's why if there's migration from those sides of the world to do with economic benefits, we must understand. Yes, and from our side of the world, we go over there. People who are involved in the production process, we have to understand. Unfortunately, thousands of people are dying every year because of the cotton production. So let's not waste cotton. So now the next page. It is a known fact that children are beaten around the world to memorize the Quran, but they're doing that today in the poor places. By the way, in Europe 100 years ago, they were beating children to memorize the languages, and they taught them languages. Let's say they taught children, Serbian, they taught children German, they taught children English. They used to whip them in schools or beat them up before the school processes, and they used to learn languages in poetry and prose, same like how the Quran is today, written in poetry and prose. I'll go through that some other time. Yes, I'll go through that some other time. So the thing is, here they talk about languages. That the children, if you don't teach them languages, humans are actually dumb like animals. They don't know how to talk. You actually have to teach humans to talk. This from the .gov.uk. And the next page, right now, yes, in England. The next page, there's up to about 2 million children because of the bad schooling. But because the schools are good, after the age of like 7, 8, 9, they still go to school. So by the age of 5 and 6 and 7, there's 2 million children who can't talk properly or understand words. So that's why they still go to school by the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They pick up a language. So now then I'm going to go through this all over the world. So now the next page. Yeah. So there is a language gap all over the world in children. Yes, unless if we teach them, our humans actually don't know how to speak. So the truth is, before these schools and before this Bible and the Quran, the world's peasants or beasts who lived outside the city walls, the majority, 80% of people, could not speak. There was no paper, there was no schools, there was no clothes. The people were naked, eating mud, and cannibals. They couldn't even speak. Yes. And so right now, half of the world's poor people, somebody could read the first sentence in the next page.
Poverty and children's
Children
language in
constitute the next page.
what's the next page? Okay. Okay. Children constitute half of the world's poor. 1 in 4 children under the age of 5 worldwide has not grown to an adequate height for their age group.
Yes. So now we can even see this right now. Yes. That children are smaller, they grow taller based on the diet, specifically the meat. Yes, and so 1/4 of the world's children, no schooling, no nothing. It's becoming a joke. You see now, it's becoming a joke. And so, if Islamists and Quranists and evangelists and Christian fundamentalists want to preach and help people, why don't you go out there to the third world, practice what you preach? You're trying to say you're Christ and you're Muhammad and you're whatever. Yeah, go and preach them. These kids, they need food, they need schools, they need things. Yes. So now the next page. Yes. So right now, a third of primary school aged children worldwide are not even gaining basic literacy skills. That's more than 250 million kids cannot even speak a basic language. They can't talk to you. Whoa, come, go, whoa, whoa. They're basically like animals. 250 million kids worldwide. It's because I traveled, I saw it worldwide. Oh, by the way, these evangelists are busy making their videos, preaching with their PayPals. And the Quran is same thing. Yeah, and whatever. When there's quarter of a billion kids out there who can't even speak a language properly, and they're trying to preach their Bible to me or the Quran. What does that sound like to you, Nachiketa or Raphael? What do these preachers who say, I'm preaching with my heart, I really care about God Almighty, Jesus Christ died for your sins, Muhammad brought you the Quran, and there's 250 million kids who can't even speak a language. What does that sound like to you?
Well,
Come on, guys.
They should use their private funds for education rather than building bigger houses for themselves.
Not just houses. Why don't they practice what they preach? They're using electricity to make their evangelist and Quranist videos. They're getting the views, celebrating, laughing, whatever. They've got these pairs of shoes, everything they're preaching. Why don't they go teaching and preaching to these children who can't even speak a language? Yes. Next page. How many children, the first sentence is enough. How many children are out of school worldwide? Don't go to school.
250 million.
Yeah.
251 million.
Yeah, don't go to school. So now then these people, these religious crackpots and the rest of them are saying they're going to do depopulation. It's because you crackpots who are preaching there will not send even $1 or a cent or a euro. Yeah. Most of my listeners are people who are interested in history. But these religious crackpots you come on here, why won't you send a penny instead of putting your hateful comments, racist comments and other things? Oh, the Jews did this. Oh, the Muslims did this. Oh, the Christians did this. Why don't you do something useful? Yes. And then you're going to say they're going to depopulate these kids. Why don't you go and feed them? Yes, next page. Yeah, somebody could read the title of the next page.
2.3 billion people without toilets.
Oh yeah. Now the thing is, then you're going to be saying, oh, then there's the thing is, they want to blow up these poor places around the world. These people don't even have toilets. Half these people that they're blowing up. You know what? They will be dying to come to Europe and America. Yeah, it's time right now. The next time you see people are supporting Palestine, support them. Write to your politicians. We're going to have a nightmare soon. What they're planning, this Armageddon or whatever. Next page. Yes. Oh yeah, these Islamists, evangelists, Quranists, whatever. Yeah, the good ones are going out there and they're helping people. I mean, there's billions of people without water, toilets, and they've got all kinds of, hookworm. They're having a shit on the floor. The next page, you can see hookworm has become dominant in many places in China and in India, and we could still see today. Millions of people, billion people don't have shoes, don't have proper clothing. It's because the truth is, this Prophet Muhammad lived recently and he overturned the world order. So now, while things are good, let's get them better. And instead of people who are preaching, causing problems and whatever, another thing, yeah, they've got their plots and everything. But if you read my book, New World Order, they're nowhere near a New World Order. Nowhere near. Yes, that is in my book, New World Order. If anybody reads it, they'll understand it. Yeah, so hookworm has become the dominant species of soil transmitted helminths in China. Yeah, now the next page. Yes, the next page, it's describing one Dali. I'm saying Dali then instead of daily. Dali represents the loss of the equivalent of 1 year of full health. And so now, for example, yes, today's hookworm infection still counts for almost $1. Next page. $1 is lost annually in China, just in China because of the hookworm, and that's 1 full year of somebody's health. It's because people still no shoes, things like this. It's so bad all over the world. And if they want to preach their Bible or their Quran, they can go to China. Yeah, in the villages, the authorities won't care if they're saying, "Oh, thank God somebody's come to give them some food and water and some shoes." Go, yes, go. Yes, instead of preaching, you don't really care about anybody, and you're saying you're preaching to us who are studying history and people who watch my videos because you're saying you care about us. You want us to follow the truth. No, you don't care. There's people who don't even have shoes and they've got shit disease on their legs and their life is getting shorted. Yeah. So here, hookworms, and so this history is something from us. Now, the next page, you can see it's estimated. Yeah, a quarter of a billion people are infected with this hookworm. Yes, or STH that comes through hookworm. The next page. Yes, it shows it on the next page. Quarter of a billion people in India. I mean, why don't they go there and help these people? Yeah. Oh, they won't because they don't really care. They're only preaching because they're out to get popular and it's self-satisfaction. You see? And they give their interpretations of the Bible because that's what humanism is. You use your human brain and you give your analysis of what you think God is saying. Oh, that's what the Quranists are doing too. Yes? So that's what humanism is. So humanist evangelist and humanist Quranists. Yes? And humanism came from the word Haman and Pharaoh. We discussed that a long time ago. So now, the next page. This is very sad. Somebody could actually read it. Yeah, this is in one part of the world, but it's a basic example because there's many adults. These kids grow older, and many of them can't even speak. Yes, so somebody could read this during the first 6 months. This is a program somewhere.
During the first 6 months of this program, the women attend night classes to learn to read and develop the language skills they need to deal with their own.
Yeah, basically they can't speak. Yes. So now the next page, there's many classes like this all over the world. Yes. And so here in rural poor areas, Latin America, Africa, India, China, the reason that early entering to school, and even here, why we send children to enter school early, because it improves their language skills. Yes. And in these poor countries around the world, there is nothing. Here is a report. The next page, clinical epidemiology and global health. Yes, so there's many articles, people can open them. For example, yes, so I'm going to go through this. The next page, here is a village in India, many similar villages in Africa. Throughout Muslim countries, there's many of these villages. Throughout Christian nations, and we can see many people are poor, no shoes, or like even the basic sandal shoes, they're given, that's why we need countries like China, Brazil to mass manufacture right now, because we've got global problems. Oh, of course, these evangelists and Quranists don't care, but they'll comment out of their backside. It stinks here. Flush them down the toilet. The next page. So basically, the next page here. Here is a study. Many people could read these things. There's many studies that focus on oral language development in childbirth to the 3rd grade, and the effects of poverty on oral language development. So let's go through some of this, and you'll be surprised. There's many people around the world who can't even speak a proper language. You're going to be surprised. It's even today, you see, which is actually shocking. So here, I met people like this. For example, here, the next page, in Morocco, in the countryside, many people can't even full sentences properly. The next page, where the classroom participation, adults in their 20s and 30s, they would improve their language skills, especially the speaking skills. So I've given charity myself to people in Morocco who can't even speak a proper language. I was shocked. Yeah, there's many people like this that they can't even speak. Yes, and so the thing is, here is another document. Over 50% of children in socially deprived areas may start school with impoverished speech, language, and communication skills. But that's in the West. Imagine the rest of the world. And this shows that if they didn't invent these fake languages, and if there was no schools, the peasants or the pests and the beasts that lived outside the city walls couldn't even speak a language. So therefore, stop fighting, saying our language is more ancient, our language is more special, and stop fighting saying the Bible really says this. No, you've looked at a dictionary that they've given you, or the Quran really says this, because you've looked in a dictionary. Yes. So the next thing, the next page. Yeah, in England. Yeah, the poor areas from Irish background areas. Yeah, mysteriously in Irish background areas. Yes, there's poverty and children who have bad language skills and things like this. Yes. So the next page, it goes through aliens and beasts in Tartaria. I was going to go more through Hookworm. Unfortunately, it's already been more than 2 hours. I sincerely apologize. We've not got to the church bells. Yeah, but I think we should finish it off here and start the church bells next time. Oh my God, I thought we'd fit. I'm talking so fast, you won't believe it. I can't believe it's already been 2 hours. So the church bells will have to be next time, but I'm telling you the truth. It's a total lie. Don't bother going to the next page. Do not. We're going to cut it off here. Yeah, the church bells, they're lying. And many of these people in these Tartaria group, they're liars, a bunch of liars. I can't believe it. Our next interview could be in a week or 2 weeks' time. I challenge all these liars who are putting all these pictures and videos out for free energy and all this garbage and bullshit. I challenge them all to produce their evidence, historical evidence and scientific evidence to show that these churches were free energy places on all this garbage and all these videos. I challenge them all. They've got 1 week or 2 weeks to present their evidence and make it in videos. They could send it to Nachiketa or to Raphael. By the way, put page 147 as the last one. 147. Yes, as a picture right now, that people could see it, that they've made many of these videos. They're putting them in Tartaria, New Age history and all this. This is the truth. The elite are lying to you that these churches and church bells were healing. Have you found page 147? Yes. Yeah. because we've got nowhere near to starting, we'll have to do that next time. I challenge them all. You've got 1 week. They're writing many posts. They're writing many documents. They're making many videos. All of them are liars. Prove it. I've given them 1 week to present your evidence. A challenge. Yeah, yeah. But I know they won't be able to bring anything. Yeah. Prove it. Bring it out. They could send it to Raphael or Nachiketa. And I'm going to show to you that it's just a lot of bullshit and a lot of garbage. Yes, they're making you believe in this, that the churches and these mosques. Yeah, it's so strange that the mosques had church bells, many of them, and they're telling us that they were ancient mosques or ancient healing centers or whatever, vibrations, frequencies. They're just liars. Yes, they're just liars. Yeah, these buildings were inside these small fortified walls for the elite families, and the peasants and the pests and the beasts were outside. Christianity or original Christianity or original Islam or Hinduism or whatever, they weren't your religions. These were not your languages. The modern languages were all fake. The elites used something that's called Old Arabic or Old Hebrew, which we can verify up to several few hundred words, and the rest of the meanings they invented in dictionaries. And the evangelists and the Quranists are using these dictionaries and they're lying to the entire world. Bunch of liars. I've got nothing else to say. Yes, and Fomenko and Nosovsky, Nosovsky in his video turned around and said, especially when it comes to the Quran, and they're giving the meanings. They've said it's a simple book, and said it's a book that basically the extremists have come for it. Yes, so now it's related to extremism because I'm not going to say they're extremists. I'm just going to say a bunch of liars. That's all. Now, Raphael Nachiketa, because I've cut it off because I don't want it to go on too long. It's already been more than 2 hours. If there's any questions or anything, you can put them to me now because many of the listeners might have said something, or you could people could put it on the comments, and if there's anything that I can answer, I will do. And many of these, pathetic people, we're always hearing these evangelists and Islamists and Christian fundamentalists and Quranists being arrested in different countries for different reasons. Some of them are genuinely innocent, but others are, mental and they've got horrible intentions and they get arrested and locked away. Yeah, so that's why, I've told Raphael to block these people in the future and Nachiketa and Andreas to block them so that they can't comment on their hateful comments, anything racist that they're saying. Some of them are even swearing. They've been blocked and they've been removed. Yes, it's the first time I insisted this week. I've never insisted like that. For 5 years, they've been commenting. And the thing is, especially on videos that I present, but I'm making it clear, my videos are about history. It's nothing to do with God or faith. And I'm not interested. And many of the people who are my followers are interested in history. And if you think that just by commenting it's going to influence people, yes, it's not. And now many of the evangelists and Quranists and Christian fundamentalists and Islamists hate me now because I've openly told people who are doing research not to go down the religious path, do research, because I don't know everything. How can I tell people that, oh, this is from God or that is from God? I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. How can I tell people this is the right way or right meaning of what Jesus Christ or what King David said or what the Prophet Muhammad said or what Ali said? I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put somebody's life so that they're going to be worshipping in some way like evangelism or Quranism or Islamism or Hinduism. I'm not going to make people spend years doing something and it could be wrong. I don't know. I just know the history and I point something out and I point out the lies. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's evil. And I think that these preachers are evil because they're claiming that they know and they're saying, this is what God has said. How dare they? Have they spoken to God? Bunch of liars. Not a single one of them has spoken to God. And I've had enough that I've told them to sod off so many times. Yeah, I've had enough because there's many people who are coming back to me on Facebook and they're saying, look, David, you should tell them, you should tell them, you should tell them. Yeah, and I've told them, sod off. Yes, Nachiketa, Andreas, Raphael, any questions before we
I
close it?
do not have any questions. Thank you very much for the presentation, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And thank you very much, Raphael, for having me here.
Well, thank you both. Of course, thank you, David. And that's all we can do, be as honest as we can and truthful and share the information that we can verify as much as we can and provide sources and not come along with preset beliefs and, pretend to have greater knowledge than we may be having. So in this way, I thank you very much, David. I hope everyone listening can appreciate your approach.
You know what?
Do their own
You know what I
research
say
and
to-
put any comments that you have questions about or more insight
By the
about
way,
kindly
if
below
any
the
of these
videos.
preachers are saying that God has said this, could you please give me God's mobile number or his email? I'll email and I'll check if God actually told you that this is what the Hebrew or Arabic dictionary said. Yeah, because these dictionaries are a fraud. Yeah, just get me God's email or his telephone number. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Raphael, if I started saying that God has said this and this is the correct way or something, would that be evil of me? Because many people actually will believe me because they know that I do my historical research.
Yeah, well,
Wouldn't that be actually
it
evil?
would be a lot more popular, but it would not be honest, and I prefer the honesty. So thank you, David.
So I would be dishonest. A dishonest person is evil. So that's why I've had enough. I've told them to sort off. It's because history is history, and let the people decide. I mean, it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong what they're doing, saying God said this, God said that, and then they're trying to tell us the Bible doesn't say this, the Quran doesn't say this, and whatever. But Christians do this and Muslims do this. Who cares? I don't give an F. You see, if people want to do something, they can do it. You see, and there is no evidence of what you're claiming what the Bible says or the Quran says. I basically said sort of because I'm here to talk history. It's because if we get to the bottom of history, I'm hoping it will end conflicts and racism. And then, yeah, there is agendas and there is all these plots and whatever. I mean, what the hell is this? They're going to steal somebody's country and send them out to other places. And they're going to end up in Europe and America. And then there's going to be more racism here. And then in 100 years' time, if the New World Order fails, yeah, these people are going to say, hey, you took our land, we're taking yours now. I mean, we've got to, think carefully about these things. Yes, we've got to help rebuild their homes that many of these people did come so that they can go back to their homes. You know what I mean? We can't just turn around and think, oh, God said this, Israel said that, Palestine said this, Allah said this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, there's genuine things here and in the world that we've got to deal with, and let's deal with them in a nice way. That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, people need help. They need your cash to these preachers. Go out there and give your cash. Money talks and Bullstein walks. Yeah, that's what I've known. I've known all my life. Oh, then if I show my charity, they're going to say, he's a philanthropist. He's showing off. Our Quran or our Bible doesn't like show-offs. That's why I don't show what I do anymore. But I do it with my own cash. I work hard myself. I'm not here to preach anyone. Yes, a human life is more special than these books that they're preaching. But no, they don't care about human life so much that they care more about their humanistic interpretation. And humanism is what you call it, you care about your own only and you don't care about the rest. Yes. Whereas my heart, feels for everybody. And, that's why I say build a better world. Yes. Yeah. Let's build a better world together. You know what I mean. Anyway, since there's no more questions, let's leave it at that. Yes. Let's just
Thank
leave
you
it
so
at
much
that.
again,
Next
David.
week,
And we'll continue next week. And again, everyone,
unfortunately.
if you have questions or insights, kindly put them below in the videos. Maybe we can pick some of them up, and hopefully we'll at least finish with this particular part next time. Thank you again
Yes.
very much, David, and thank
Yes,
you, Nachiketo, for co-hosting.
thank you to everybody who was listening.
Thanks, everyone,
Yes.
for listening. Exactly.
And to the good people, yes, thank you for the listening. And for the final time to the preachers, sod off. Yeah, good night, everyone.
Bye, David.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you.
Bye.
Raf, David, Andreas. Raf, Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco.